Anywho, let's get started. JJ, you actually loaded up your PowerPoint. You're
Yeah,
ready to go.
yeah, I'm ready to go, baby. I have to add my PowerPoint to the stage. I don't know. Is
Yeah,
it animated in here? I don't know. I
it
hope
should
so.
be. It should be.
All right. So this is okay. So I went with the typical side questing perfect sevens. So mine's a top seven. So
Oh, love it.
and the and friends are what are like my like to round out a top 10, so to speak. So it's like just power through those ones for a second. I didn't do anything special for them. There are three in particular that I liked most of all, but didn't make my absolute favorites of the year.
Sure.
And you'll also notice it's called Badly Drawn
I love
because
it.
I took inspiration from Zach's whiteboard presentation when he saw it.
Ooh.
Because I was like, I have negative
Hmm.
art skills. I cannot freestyle. I cannot draw worth
You make things
anything.
worse. You make good art worse. That's how
Yes,
negative you are.
actually, it's
I don't
100%
know how
true.
you do it, but yeah.
I bring whatever it is. I'm in. You put me in the Louvre, and everything becomes garbage. Um, so I thought, boy, it'd be funny to just to draw my top
Hmm.
seven in MS Paint, and that's
That's
exactly what I did.
that's really
Uh,
good.
but
Love it.
here's my honorable mentions of 2024. Number 10, then it doesn't do the animation. That sucks. I got Batman Arkham Shadow, which seems to be the swan song of VR
Yeah,
games.
yeah, dude.
It's one of the absolute best VR games that's ever been made. It
Finally.
is perfect. It plays like a video game, which is kind of rare in the VR space. Most of it just kind of comes across as
Hmm.
interactive in like not a gaming way, just sort of like this one actually feels like a video game. You're doing the Batman Arkham stuff, but in a new way.
Doing the Batman.
Yeah, the Bat
Doing the
2C. You got to do the
Yeah,
um Anton Blast, obviously. I'm a big fan of Wario games. I was a huge fan of Pizza
sure.
Tower when it came out, and this game blows Pizza Tower out of the water. It does everything Pizza 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 Tower looks like a pile of garbage in comparison to what Anton Blast is doing with the formula, and it's way funnier in a
Okay.
like it's funnier in a different way. Like I think the comedy plays way better in Anton Blast than it
Yep.
did in Pizza Tower. I don't hate Pizza Tower, but
Yep.
like Anton Blast is just fucking incredible. And number 8 on this is 1000X Resist.
Love it.
You were harassing me about not playing it, and I had played it like back in May. It came out around my
Mm.
birthday. I had played this game already, and I love this game.
It's called 1000 times resist.
Yeah,
Yeah, get it right.
Get
yeah,
it right.
yeah. Or if you're going by the anime thing, it could just be 1000 Resist because you never pronounce the X in anime titles. It's
Yeah,
not Hunter X
whatever.
Hunter, it's Hunter Hunter. um, but no, I know that this is going to come up later and we can just talk about it then. So I'll do that. So
You're
we are
Maybe it
darn
will,
doing
maybe it
tootin',
won't.
buddy.
You
yeah,
never know. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. So we can talk about it then. But just know that this game has probably one of the best stories ever created for a game, I think, by a long
Mm.
shot. It's crazy. Anyways, now to the majestic art gallery of my favorite games of 2024. Number 7 is Billionaire.
Ooh, nice.
It's it's Slay the Spire, but pachinko. Billionaire is consumed me in this late stage of 2024. It is a roguelike pachinko game, and that's just kind of the that's just sort of like the upfront presentation of it.
Sure.
You have your pachinko board, and you have like Balatro, um, sort of like the blinds, their initiations. It's got this weird cultish religious over theme to it. It's kind of crazy. So you drop a ball down the pachinko board. It has some preset things, and after each ball, you get to choose from a few cards, and the cards have different like buffs, or it's you can string them together and create like weird chains, and you're just trying to make as much money as possible in this game. And it's very like, just looking at it and even watching some of it. I know Zach was watching and I was watching Will play it. It was funny watching Will play it because he was like zoned in on that game. It's crazy how just sort of like you don't really understand what's going on until like deep into the game. Like you're just kind of the best laid pipes of men are bound in time to burst kind of thing. You know, it is like you can set up a beautiful run, but it's still pachinko at the end of the day. So you're kind of at the whim of the randomization of what pachinko is, but you can set up some impressive things where it's like, okay, so this ball turns this into water, and the water will turn this, will get collect into the dam, and will light the like the fireball will light this candle and do all. And so you're just trying to string things together, and even the game says look for exploits, kind of like you just exploit the game is what you're trying to do to make as much money as possible per run, and you only have a limited amount of runs to do it. It's hard to explain it. You have to play it or at least sit down and watch somebody who seems to know what they're doing play it, because it is it's fat. It scratches that itch that I have for this kind of thing. So Billionaire, love it. Number 6, Tetris Forever. This is their best so far of the gold label series. I think what helps most of all, it's like I always say, it's not the games that elevates this, it's the documentary footage. And these two guys just absolutely love Tetris, and they're still around. They're still involved in Tetris. They're still making and they love it still. They're so passionate about the concept of Tetris to this day.
Sure.
That like, and they have just a wealth of information and old footage and old copies, and like there's just so much to glean. And there are few games as big as Tetris, period. Like it's the most universal video game ever made. I think we can all kind of universally agree on that.
Yes.
Like you don't even have to play video games to play Tetris. Like it's one of those things where like it's one of the earliest games built into like LCD screens kind of thing. So it's just a perfect documentary for this franchise with some really fun games in it. Like I've made the joke a dozen times at this point, but this game turned me into a bombless fanatic. Like it's something I'd never really played leading up to this, and after this, it's like I want to play more bombless. Yeah, like give me more bombless. So yeah, and they just added Weltris very recently to the game, which is not a good Tetris game.
Oh
yeah. Number 5, WWE 24. This is one of the weird ones.
Love this sketch, but it's great.
My wrestling ring.
Good shit.
It's not a surprise that I'm a wrestling fan, obviously. We used to have a wrestling show on SideQuesting. Wrestling games have universally been average at best throughout the recent time. I mean, like it peaked in like the Nintendo 64 era, PlayStation 2, that kind of stuff. But and then the quality, like once THQ and I forget who was the Ukes or whatever were making these games, the quality fell off a cliff significantly. And this game brings it back to form. It looks good, it plays good. They added features that have been missing for the longest time. Even simple things like special guest referee is back finally. It's been years since you've had special guest referee as an option. Like the character models go a long way in these kinds of games, because like previous ones, they all looked kind of like the same, like they were all made out of a character creator. Like this one actually seems like they actually made the wrestlers this year. And I was looking at it, and I think I'm at like 90 hours in this game this year, which is ridiculous.
Holy crap!
For a wrestling game. Well, they also have like a GM mode where you get to create your own wrestling company and book shows, and it's just really fun. I just put sometimes I just like to create my own shows and just have CPU versus CPU wrestle it out and just watch the AI generated wrestling match deck. Basically, it's fun. I love WWE.
Do you have Big Justice and AJ in there?
They have
you can make them.
They have a thing called community creations where people upload their created wrestlers, and so obviously they're in there, and obviously I've downloaded them. So there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next up, Astrobot. Here's my little Astrobot guy.
That's a nice sketch.
Done completely with no talent, and I made sure to use a different horrible font for everything. No, I don't know what to say about Astrobot other than it's one of the greatest platforming games ever made, and like, especially 3D platforming games. 3D platforming games overall mostly suck. Let's be honest. There's way more shit ones than there are good ones.
Yeah, like the last good one, in my opinion, came out on the N64. So it's like, you know,
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that, because like even Nintendo's 3D Mario output's been fine. Like it's like
it doesn't have that Mario 64 like
it's just
zing to it.
Sure.
It's like Mario Odyssey is a good game, but like it is just completely out of my memory right now. Like I can only remember
been 8 years.
Yeah, but like I remember
I
remember every stage and every corner of Mario 64, and I can remember like 2 stages in Mario Odyssey, and it's like New Donk City.
Like, and that's the other thing with me too, right? Just to like add on here, but like Mario 64, whenever I play a 3D platformer, I'm like, why isn't this better than Mario 64? We're 20 years past it. Like, this game doesn't feel anywhere close to as good as Mario 64 does. Like the way that game feels is just insane. It's just kind of nuts.
But now Astrobot, it feels like the natural progression of Mario 64. Astrobot feels like it feels like you're directing him more than like controlling a character, which I think goes a long way for the feel of this game. And it uses the PlayStation 5 in a like its little bells and whistles in a great way. The haptics feel really good on all the stuff. The inclusion of the PlayStation iconography, you can call it nostalgia baiting, but I don't care. It's charming, and it doesn't feel forced. It feels earnest in every moment. And the level designs are all incredible. The character designs are great. Boss battles are really cool in this game. The sound, the music, the Astrobot theme is really good. I love everything about Astrobot. I've always been a big fan of like when they started making Astrobot games. That VR game was beautiful, and like this is they nailed it out of the park. Like just a beautiful game. Next up, mouthwashing.
Ooh.
I fucking love this game so much.
I love the fuck Jimmy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just kind of hit it. This game is probably one of the best pieces of psychological horror I've ever experienced, and I don't necessarily even mean video games. I just mean like in general. It is so well done, and like the way the game is not only gaslighting everybody in the game, but you as the player as well from the get-go, and manipulating you. Like it takes a hot minute till you realize it's like, wait a minute, I'm being what the like like it tries to turn you against certain characters extremely early on. And the thing that's cool about this game too is that the horror is all very real. Like it's like just because it's in space and there's hallucinations and things going on doesn't change the fact that like the main and I'm trying to get around it without, it's like the main antagonist is what is the worst human being I have ever experienced in a video game. Everything about him sucks. Like, and I just like it stuck with me so much after I was done playing it, and just when you think back at certain scenes that played out with the context and certain certain dialogues between like Curly and some of the crewmates, like going back, you're like, oh wait, yeah, huh, ooh, fuck. It's just, man, it is something else, and it's, you know, it's the perfect length. It's feature film length, which I think is absolutely perfect for this kind of thing. And it's one of those games that I played it twice just because I wanted to see, after having all the context going. It's like, I don't know if I'll ever play it again, but like, it's a game that's going to stick in my brain for probably the rest of my life. It's going to sort of set the benchmark for this type of game for me from here on out.
This genre really came into its
really took off this year, man.
Yeah.
Or last year, I guess. Like, because like Crow Country didn't make the list, but fuck that game. Like, it's like, you know, there's a lot like that on here.
So, just a question.
Yeah.
There's a part in the game where you have to walk really slow, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
From that whatever that thing is.
Yes.
Did you see? So, did you see it?
Yes.
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 Okay.
We're talking the warehouse scene, right?
Yeah.
Like the weird,
the invisible thing that will peer through the invisible veil and like scary as fuck.
The first time I saw it, I just assumed it was an invisible thing, but then the first time I like turned around and it was there, I flipped out. I genuinely like this. Man, mouth watching is so that's my number 3. Number 2, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This game's great, man. I'm a massive Indiana Jones fanatic. I'm also like a modern Indiana Jones apologist in a way. Like, I don't really hate the movies that everyone hates. I'm not saying they're great, don't get me wrong, but they're fine for me. But this is such a perfectly crafted. This is what I want a AAA IP, like AAA games to like be like, because they spent a lot of money on this game. And it's visually beautiful. But it's not perfect. Like, you could tell that they put the money where it needed to be put and not just like needlessly put it into the foliage for, you know, like grind somebody to dust to make sure that the grass is perfect, because there are times where you're just going through there and it's like a horrible like plant, and it just kind of clips through the boat and the water doesn't necessarily interact with the boat very well or whatever, but it doesn't matter because everything else is like some of the best lighting I've ever seen in a video game. It's fun to play. Guns exist, but like, don't use them. I love that it has a button where you pick up like a rifle and it's like, if you push the X button, it just turns it into a club and you're like, yeah, let's do that instead of shooting this guy, sneak up behind a guy with a rolling pin and just bop a Nazi on the back of the head and knock him out. You get to do all the Indiana Jones stuff. It's cool. One of the most annoying things with things like Tomb Raider and Uncharted is like, they always find a way to ruin the experience of exploring a tomb. They always they make sure that the bad guys are always 2 steps ahead of you, already there, or just kind of breach the tomb on your way out. They don't really do that. You get to kind of explore these areas that haven't been seen by people and for centuries, and get to just kind of explore them and do the puzzle solving without having to worry about sneaking around, getting caught by Nazis and stuff. And then you get into combat. I'm a little sick and tired of the trend of first person games, kind of shoving in stealth mode elements. And there's a few stealth sections throughout this, but for the most part, I mean, Indiana Jones, you can do well just punching your way through it's like Hitman in a way. You can just punch your way out of any problem if you really wanted to. And they also do a really good job at portraying Indiana. Troy Baker's really good at Indiana Jones. That's 100% fantastic Indiana Jones. But they also do go a step further with absolutely having zero respect for fascists and Nazis. Like, they don't even make them
machine games.
Yeah, they don't even make them vaguely scary, and which is great. And like when you're like Indiana Jones in disguise walking around the Vatican, for example, it's one of the first levels in the game. You walk around the Vatican. You're in disguise as a priest, and when like a fascist greets you, you're like, "Hello, father." You just walk by. You don't say a word. You just keep moving on. If somebody else that's not a fascist says something to you, like it's like, "Hello, father," and it's like a nun or just like another person, he'll throw a greeting back. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like somebody's whistling, it'll be like, oh, like whistling. And if it's a fascist whistling, it'll be like out of tune whistling. It's just like even the subtitles hate the fascists. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love everything about
Well
it.
done.
Yeah, it's well done. It's absolutely, that's my number 2 of the year. And to the shock and surprise of nobody, number 1 of the year, of course, no shit, it's Balatro. Balatro, whatever the fucking thing is. This game came out in February. I have played it at least 3 times a week every week since its release. And I have gotten so many people. I've recently just talked somebody into downloading it on their phone, and they now hate my guts. So it's not only one of the best games of the year. I think it's one of my favorite games of all time at this point. Like it's creeping up into that category. Like my favorite games of all time have been a pretty solid list for since like the Xbox 360 days. And now we have this game just creeping on up in there. So that's my top 7 of and friends of 2020.
Love it. I mean, you've gone across the whole freaking like spectrum there, from AAA
There's a little bit of everything,
a little bit of everything. So those are JJ's games of the year right there.
GOTYs.
My
beautiful drawings. I hope you all enjoyed my beautiful drawings.